the geometry looks different on that craze shot, but it's not. It's the same geometry. It's the same texture assets. It's simply going through a different form of lighting that, from Nvidia's perspective, is kind of like next generation and transformative. And when you first see that shot, it's quite difficult to argue with that. I mean, you know, when you flick between the two, which one would you rather play? It's a bit of a no-brainer, isn't it?
Sorry, Richard, but with all due respect, check your comment section. No, we gamers do not find this hard to argue with. This is AI Slop coming for our games, people. And by the way, it's not some magic performance boost here either. It's not really a trade-off where you get more performance and better graphics in return for accepting some of the characters' faces being replaced. No, Nvidia had to use two 5090s to turn Grace in Resident Evil 9 into a blonde Instagram model wearing extra makeup. I'm sorry, but for me the scariest thing isn't the idea that all main characters in video games will start to look like those horny yet creepy AI-generated space babe videos that keep getting spammed on YouTube. No, the scariest thing to me is that Nvidia proudly shared this and thought it would get praise. And thank God it's not, because it is exposing Jensen here. I mean, it tells you how out to lunch the tech titans are right now, to the point where they have no idea what we want, they have no idea what looks good, and they have no idea how stupid their bull looks to us. I mean, it's not even just the Instagramification of the faces of the characters, by the way. I spoke with several horrified game devs today that pointed out things to me like, well, Matt Cassels, the director and founder of Alderaan Games, who is the guest on Broken Silicon this week, by the way, he pointed out that the shadows and ambient occlusion are basically stripped out of multiple images he analyzed. He sent me some pictures of Oblivion. That's not an improvement. It's just different, and it took two 5090s to just make it look different? Or also look at this. Here, DLSS 5 seems to strip out the time of day in the art style in favor of making it look arguably like a typical photo taken in real life. But that's the thing. That doesn't mean that the image is better. That just looks like a real photo taken by a smartphone in the middle of a cloudy day. But that's not what the devs wanted with Oblivion. I mean, Cyrodiil isn't a real place. It doesn't need to look like I just pulled out a Samsung Galaxy and took a picture in, like, I don't know, a college campus in England, which is what it now looks like to me. Actually, on the note of Samsung, they recently had a scandal where they got called out for photoshopping pre-taken professional pictures of the moon into users' pictures, replacing new authentic pictures that people took to remember good memories and put in pre-captured images. And they claimed they did so with space zoom technology. No, it was just photoshopping in different pictures of the moon. And you know, I've always joked to my brother and Broken Silicon co-host on news episodes that it would be so sad if in the future, like, these companies tried to save data on our phones by not even really taking the pictures, by just analyzing them and then assembling already taken pictures so you store less data and it kind of looks better. And yet, the memory you tried to have stored in your phone isn't a real memory anymore. And I gotta say that I did not see this coming to video games in this way. And it's absolutely pathetic. And no, I'm not going to bother to talk about the things that looked good. I don't really care. It required two 5090s to do this, and the implications are horrifying. I'm not going to do any positive press coverage of this today. I just don't think this is worth paying attention to in its current form. Let's just wait for final reviews of it near the end of this year, supposedly when DLSS 5 comes out. And hopefully in that form, it will have removed the Instagram filter. And no, by the way, this wasn't an intended attack on Digital Foundry either. This was an attack on Nvidia and what they seemingly are trying to do to get a leg up on AMD and games in a way that I think will make games all look samey and arguably worse. Although I would suggest to my colleagues at Digital Foundry, maybe reconsider the enthusiasm a bit, because to me, it did come off as misplaced. Respectfully. Anyways, now I'm going to talk briefly with Bryan Heemskerk, the art director at Massive Damage Inc., a game studio. He's a game dev who's been on Broken Silicon many times, and he has a lot to say about this development. Although first, I will have to do an ad for Micro Center. Micro Center is running their Monitor Madness event through March, and it will highlight a bracket of some of the best performance monitors with tons of different deals throughout this month. So please check out the links in the description frequently throughout the month as they highlight the best monitor deals that are continuing to change through March. They will also have 2 separate store opening events where you can sign up to get free 128 gigabyte USBs. Their North Jersey location will have a grand reopening specifically. They'll update the store to a similar layout to their other new stores, and the event is currently slated for May. And then there's also the Austin, Texas location that will be coming later this year. Again, you can get 128 gigabyte flash drive there. Both of them, by the way, you have to go to the store to redeem it and get the free 128 gigabyte flash drive, but no purchases required. You just go to the store to get it. Really, you don't have to buy anything else. And yeah, they're going to have a lot more stores coming out, a lot more news about upcoming tech. So make sure you check out the links in the description to see all of that upcoming news. And otherwise, well, I want to thank Micro Center for sponsoring this piece of content. And I want to thank you for wading through the ad and hopefully clicking on those links to support them, because now, well, let's have a conversation about what's going on with DLSS 5 with Bryan Heemskerk. All right, Bryan, thanks for joining me. You're the art director at Massive Damage Inc. Of course, anyone who's a fan of Broken Silicon will have seen you on that show, I don't know, 130 times or something like that, but even on quite a lot. But you were one of the developers I was speaking with offline today after I saw the DLSS 5 stuff. And it was interesting because the second I saw the picture of Grace in AI YouTube thirst trap slop face mode. I don't know if you've seen those YouTube videos where they spam. They're usually, the girls are usually in outer space, by the way. It's interesting.
Like some franchise from the 80s or 90s or some game that
vaguely
the film version of this that'll be in some
but and I had like a visceral reaction where I'm like, oh, I couldn't hate this more. And then I started talking to people in the Moore's Laws at Discord. I think a couple people were like, it seems okay. A couple people also hated it. Over time, I think people are starting to get more and more mad. But then I looked at the comments in the Digital Foundry YouTube video. I looked at Twitter. I think I saw someone from Hardware Canucks attacking it too. Maddie Plays from the Colin's Last Stand group. And I was like, oh, no. I think I'm onto something here, that I'm not the only one who hates this. But what was your reaction to, because I actually sent you the link. You hadn't seen it yet.
No, I hadn't seen it yet. I saw it. I mean, they showed something like this about 5 or 6 months ago during one of the Nvidia tech conferences, but it was with their own content. We didn't have anything to compare it to. With this, I mean, everyone's playing Resident Evil Requiem, and that's going to impact people's perception of it. My feeling is I get what Nvidia is trying to do, because like when you have a mesh, it doesn't have all the interior stuff. And currently, like, also some bad images are circulating of Resident Evil Requiem where Grace's face looks all hollow and the lighting, and they'll use it to bash PS5.
Yeah, I was like, is this the Xbox Series S version? Because this is not what I've seen on PS5.
Yeah, so the thing is that like we've removed some of the stuff that used to make games look like what they used to look like. Like if you watch the Castlevania Lord of Shadow documentary, they talk about how like baking ambient occlusion into teeth and stuff made characters look so much better in that period of time. And we're stripping all that out now because it's being done by lighting or ray tracing or path tracing, or it's being less done as texture tricks the way we used to do it, but it's not like up to snuff yet. All of it's not up to snuff. So I can see how like Nvidia is trying to brute force it by going around the problem, but it's doing a lot of unintentional consequences, which gives a bit of a like feeling in the gut. It feels less like this character Grace, less consistent necessarily as it goes from frame to frame, and it's just I don't know how I feel about it. I feel unsettled because it's completely disaligned from artistic intent. They intended Grace to look a certain way. If you watch the making in Requiem, they have all of this intentionality that goes into it. But when you look at this, it's adds more makeup, changes the hair quality, the color of them.
She gets more makeup and she becomes blonde.
Exactly. Well, she was blonde to begin with, but like even more blonde.
She was white haired, kind of like Targaryens in Game of Thrones. Like, no, she wasn't Instagram model blonde.
Well, it feels like it's averaging out the top like 1,000 Instagram portfolios with over 100,000 likes, like 100,000 followers, and then it just becomes the average of that person. Is there a version of this technology where the the game developers can author it. Like when you think about FromSoft doesn't even love what they did with the Demon Souls remake, right?
No.
In terms of the artistic direction that happened in there. And when you see something like Beyond Good and Evil, when they did the remaster, the texturing on it is too realistic and it hurts the artistic intent. We got to be really careful when we are seeing features that are acting like official channels for visuals, but it's making unintentional changes. And I I can tell you, going to conferences, if I met some of the artists that were working on this that see this, they would be very bothered by something like this going into the game.
Well, and I just want to say too, like the images, and I get to a degree why they did this, but I think in this specific circumstance, it turns into basically lying. Like they showed, I don't know what it was, low graphics mode on PC, again, Xbox Series S performance mode. I don't
Mhm.
know, because the grace I've seen in like the ultra mode on PC or PS5 Pro does not look as hollow and PS2 like as the images
Mhm.
Nvidia showed. And were they to show the real Grace, I'm just going to say, if they showed the not real one, if they showed the
Yeah.
real ultra quality Grace, the one that I'm playing right now in Resident Evil 9, she doesn't look that, I mean, I don't want to say ugly, just like you said, hollow. She just
Yeah.
looks like a different person. I think there's some people who haven't played RE9 that are going, oh, they made her look better. And it's like, no, they showed like ultra low graphics mode and then a different person's face. If you go to ultra mode, she doesn't look worse than Instagram Grace. She just has a different face.
I don't know. I like this is kind of I've noticed, and I sent this like I think the last time we talked, but I've noticed a gradual detest coming for this AI like
Mhm.
mass averaging look of everything,
Averaging
where
everything to look kind of the same.
it look the same, and it's when they do it with in the video, the Digital Foundry video, and they do it with
Star
what is it?
Citizen. Oh, no, not
Star
Star
no,
Citizen,
this isn't
Starfield.
Starfield. Like there's a lot of awkwardness in the visuals there, so I could see how people will be like, "Oh, this is
Well,
great
I
in
thought
this
half of it
settings."
was pretty impressive, but the other
Yeah.
half, I was like, "No, this is the same as Grace." Like, one of the guys just looks like a guy who's about to tell me to go to crypto.com or something, like some
And it
AI
added like
generated
a
ad, like, of a dude, like, "Come on, brothers, let's go." Like, I was like, now one of them looked fine, but one of them, I'm like, it's just more noticeable with Grace because, of course, they would be training this AI on more pictures of women who are gonna be blonded on Instagram,
well,
and that's why it's more noticeable.
there was a darker skinned guy or whatnot that like you could tell just because of polygons, eyelashes
No.
are small things, and it gave him like full on eyeshadow in the one
See, what
Starfield.
I wanna see is a Ghost of Yotai one where they just turn the Asian woman into a blonde woman. Like, let's just do it. Let's just complete the complete and shitification of everything here. Um,
Yeah.
but anyways, moving forward, I have a few questions here. These were actually sent to
Yeah.
me by Matthew Cassell of Alderaan Games. The questions he has for you.
Oh,
Number
sure.
one, he asked, "What would this change in your day-to-day job as an art director? Will it affect the way you make games if this became standard?"
Oh, if this became standard, like first of all, it's a big push for realism, and it's pushing it by sidestepping the actual contribution. The actual calculations necessary to make something look real. It's not. It's not. Actually taking in and properly taking all the assets, bouncing light off of everything, doing perfect ambient occlusion. Like it's not doing any of that. Instead, what it's doing is remembering what things that look accurate are and then completely changing all the visuals to try to take an approach to what looks accurate to that. And there's like I don't know. Are we getting a little bit more bored with all of the hyper realistic games that look exactly the same?
Exactly. Isn't this the exact opposite of what we want? Isn't everyone saying we're tired of games looking the same? We don't always need them to be hyper realistic. Because an example I made in the opening part of this video before I started talking to you now is one of the pictures of Oblivion. I'm like, this doesn't look better. This just looks like I took a picture with my smartphone in a cloudy day in like a university in England. Like it looks like a real picture more so than like some castle in Oblivion, but it doesn't
Yeah.
look better. It just kind of looks like a cloudy day in England.
Well,
That doesn't mean better. That just
is
means
that
everything looks the same now.
is it more accurate? Sure, but is that the intention for the game? Like
Is
you
Cyrodiil real? No. So
well, using a Capcom game is kind of interesting because Capcom's bypassed the realistic kind of the issue with realistic visuals for, you know, 3 generations by covering the distance with art direction. They've always been masters at that. And it's what like old Uncharted used to do well. When you see
Yeah.
like PS3 gen Uncharted and Last of Us, that stylization bridged the gap. The more realistic they've gone, the harder I think it's been to accept it. Actually, that's my stance on it. Maybe some people disagree, but I like when that stylization bridges the visuals, and Capcom are masters of that. So to take like Grace and to do that to her feels like blasphemy to me. Like it's just it doesn't look, especially like if you play the game, it's different like looking at a screenshot, but
Mhm.
like her mannerisms isn't someone that's like made up and prim and proper.
That is
It's
something. She's
she's
not like
nervous, she's a little shaky. It's like
she's a little
there's
sloppy visually. She's not good at presentation, and this is the exact. I mean, like this is the worst character to show it because it's like this fundamentally makes her a different character.
yeah. And let's be honest, you can't make Liam more handsome. He's already too handsome
My
as is.
girlfriend agrees with you.
Yeah, yeah.
When he
You're
got out of the car, she was watching me play at the beginning of the game. She's like, "Hello, daddy." And she remembers Resident Evil 4 from when she was little. So
yeah,
this was
yeah.
that was extra fun for her, I suppose. But um let me ask you this too. Would you put less resources into certain types of rendering features if you know it could be fixed in DLSS 5? Because we have already people complaining that, like, well, DLSS and FSR have made it so developers get lazy and don't do AA well because FSR or DLSS will fix it in post. Will this make character models become lazy if they know that it's all just going to become an Instagram model?
Well, and it's also like, yes, it could make some developers get lazy. It's not going to make all developers get lazy.
No, no, no. But
Some are super intentional. I could actually see for the hyper intentional like Japanese developers, this could almost make them want to avoid PC because they hate when their
mhm.
games have a lot of unintended stuff done to them. And that seems to be more common in Asian cultures for them to make games and expect people to take it as it is. So obviously Bethesda is different, the modding community is different, but if we can't trust our inputs, right? Because this is really taking a huge leap between what inputs we're putting into an engine, into our assets, and what the end result are. It's jumping a huge gap, but it's doing it with a lot of unintended actions. And some, if you're just trying to make like a dinosaur chasing game and you want things to look hyper realistic and trying to churn out assets as quickly as possible, like I don't know, like maybe whatever, like Arc or whatever, a game like that, I could see them doing something like this and not caring that much. But maybe they would. I don't know. But I like FromSoft. Oh my gosh, would they wouldn't want anything to do with this? Would be my guess. So to have people be able to force with DLSS, right? You can just force it on in your driver. I don't know if this is going to be something that continues. Mind you, keep in mind this is like down the pipe. Like the demo they showed was running on, I think, two 5090s. One was being used
Yeah.
for the game's graphics, one was being used for this. So, to, the point where we can get it running in real time on a 4060, 5060 and actually implemented in games is still far off. But I mean, Jensen's talked about a future where essentially the AI portion of the GPU is bigger than the rendering portion of the GPU. And this is kind of what you would expect be the result from that. So, I don't know, man. Like it's shady times, and like I don't necessarily know if I want to make like hyper realistic games, and I know a lot of devs that don't. Like they want to do that stylization or do something interesting visually, and like this, I think this is creating a scenario
Or
where
it
we,
turns Princess Peach into like a swimsuit model.
yeah,
Like a obviously, it's a Nintendo game, so it wouldn't be on there unless you're modding it. But I'm just thinking of the implications of like where this could go with some games if it. And I noticed too, like in some parts of Grace's face, like her eye shook a little. There's a little bit of that AI hallucination. Like imagine like turning a character around and she just looks like a slightly different blonde.
I think I saw it with a blink too. There's
Yeah.
a frame where she blinked and it was like you could see the whites, or like it didn't look like a blink. It didn't look like an eyelid coming down. It looked like it was trying to figure out what the heck to do with that input. And there was essentially like a popped hole through a mesh that looked like an eye popping through.
But that's what scares me. Like they thought this was worth showing. They're like, "Oh, this is still early. It could change." And by the way, based on gamers' reactions, I think this is going to change. But I just they thought this looked good. This reminds me of all the Coca-Cola ad and all. Like you thought
Well,
this looked good.
I see the people that would like this. Like, there's people that every major AI paradigm that comes up, they message me privately and then they send me something that they expect me to care about that I have no interest in whatsoever. Just show me this, and they're like, "Oh, look how good this looks." I'm like, "This doesn't look good to me at all." Like, it looks unintentional, And the other, like, it looks so averaged out. It's like even if 10 years ago, you could have had one shot, like a video shot framed that way that would look good in a movie or a trailer. Now every shot is framed like the average of all of those
Yeah.
shots in these, and there's something about it that looks so subdued. Like one of the things it does correct is subsurface scattering, where light comes in through your face, bounces around off of your bones and your cartilage, and then comes out in different places. And some parts, like your earlobes and your nose, have more hanging skin, so more light penetrates. Right? There's things like that this immediately creates a solve for, but it's all the unintended extra effects. Like game developers need to be able to interpret, like, how realistic do I want my game to be? How much of my artistic intention am I putting in, and what is this fighting with me trying to create visuals? Now, we already have this problem. We have it with like really just the TAA situation and like visuals in general. It's hard to get.
Sure, but this is a whole other level.
This is a different level. You have no control over what is happening intentionality wise with what comes out.
Well, so let me ask you, would you, if this was shipped today, would you add this to one of your games?
No, like I personally wouldn't. And I can imagine going to the conference. Like I had whatever 2 hour conversation with the art director on the Dead Space remake. And I know he would have been like appalled, right? Like just absolutely appalled with this coming over the visuals for his game or whatever. Same at Star Wars. Which one did I talk to? The Jedi Survivor? Talk to one of the lead teams, like people on the team from that, and they would be like, most of these game devs would be really appalled. And like, really, what happens when this gets taken out of people's hands, and then people start doing custom DLLs that change people's faces or inject themselves into games? Like, is this what we want for every game? Is there a place for it? Sure, your character creator in a certain game here or there that we can use to maybe create some good inputs, but Resident Evil Requiem is not the place for it. Let's just say.
No. Well, all right, Brian. I think that's going to do it. I really wanted to get a game dev's quick take on this, especially one who's the lead of art direction at a studio. So I can't thank you enough. Please tell everybody where they can find you or find things you want them to find.
Oh, honestly, just like look into the visual technology behind this. And you can find me online. Just Google my name. I'm notorious online for pixel art, but you can art, visuals, and intentionality with visuals is kind of my favorite things in this world. So feel free to send a message or reach out if you want to.
All right. Thank you. And thanks for everybody for watching this. I guess I'll get to closing the video. All right. And so there you go. Well, I guess the final thing I want to say before I close out this video is that right now you're seeing public PR statements on Twitter of different studios saying we're excited about this partnership with Nvidia, or this will allow that because of Nvidia. And I want to say what that is. That's nothing but the PR managers at Nvidia talking to the PR managers at game studios. If you talk to the actual game developers, the people that make the assets, that lead the games, that lead the art direction of games, all of them to a person I've talked to today tells me they hate this. And there you have one of them saying if it was shipped today, from what they've seen, they would not use it. Nvidia, people do not want this. You say this is an early version. Make the final version, please. Just make things look more accurately better, and don't replace our games with AI slop. Thank you.